Okay class, today we're going to be adding and subtracting polynomials. This isn't too difficult. It's a lot like combining like terms. So if we have this polynomial 4x squared plus 6x plus 7 plus 2x squared minus 9x plus 1, we're going to add these together. What you're going to do is, on the plus ones, we can just combine the things that are alike. I have a 4x squared there, and I have a 2x squared here. If I add those together, 4 plus 2 gives me 6. So we get 6x, and then here I just keep the squared. We do not add exponents. That only happens when we multiply. Here we are adding. So I've taken care of those terms that are alike. Okay. Then we're going to look at our x term. We have 6x and negative 9x. We want to combine those next. 6 and a negative 9, we add those to get negative 3x. So that takes care of the x terms. Then you have a 7 and a 1. We just add those together to get 8. So that is our new polynomial after we've added them. I also want you to continue to think about how you would name this polynomial, so let's just kind of go over that with each one of these. The degree of this polynomial is the degree of your biggest monomial, which is 6x squared, so its degree is 2, and so when it's like that, when it's a degree of 2, we call its first name quadratic. And then this polynomial has 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. Alright, let's look at the next one. It's a plus sign in between means we're adding. So we have a 2p to the third power and a 9p to the third power. When we add those two together, they're both positive, so we get an 11p to the third power. Okay, that takes care of our third terms. Then we have a 6p squared and 11p squared. 6p squared and 11p squared, they're both positive, so we end up with 17p squared. That takes care of the squared terms. Then we have 10p and 3p. 10p and 3p, when we add those together, that gives us 13p. And then again, we can think about what we would name this. It's got a third degree. That's a cubic would be the first name, and then based on its number of terms, there are 3 terms, so it's a cubic, and then it's a trinomial. So that one is a cubic trinomial. And in your homework tonight, I want you to name each one of these that you do. So that's the adding. The adding part's pretty easy. It's basically just sort of combining everything that's alike. Subtraction will add a little bit more to it, but nothing that's too difficult. Let's look at subtracting. So what I want you to think about on the subtracting one is this subtraction sign in the middle. We can't just combine all of our like terms because of the subtraction sign. What you're going to do with that is you're going to put a 1 where that negative is. Okay, you're going to take a negative 1 and you're going to actually distribute it to everything inside of the parentheses. That's how I want you to think of subtraction, is in the second set, that negative has a 1 with it, so we're going to distribute a negative 1. The first parenthesis we keep the same. We have 2x to the third power plus 5x squared minus 3x. That one didn't change. On the subtraction though, this negative has to go to all 3 of these. So this negative 1 has to go to the x cubed, so that's going to become a negative 3x cubed. And then that negative 1 also goes to the negative 8x squared. Negative times negative gives you the positive 8x squared. And then we have negative 1 times positive 11, that's negative 11. So now we've combined, we've distributed, the negative 1. And now it's just like a matter of what we did on the first example. We're just going to be combining our like terms. So we have some like terms here. We have a 2x to the third power and a negative 3x to the third right here. These two are alike. We have a 2 and a negative 3. That's going to add to give us negative 1x to the third power. This marker doesn't show up very well. Let me pick a different color here. Okay, so that takes care of my third powers. And when I'm doing these, I just kind of go in order from degree biggest to smallest, so that way our polynomial at the end will be written in standard form. So we have a 5x to the second power and an 8x to the second power. They're both positive, so we add them. We get 13x to the second. That takes care of the second powered ones. And what we have left is negative, oh, actually we have a negative 3x and a negative 11 left. We can't add those two, so we just have to write them in order. Let's put the negative 3x first because it comes next. Negative 3x and then minus 11. So we have negative 1x to the third power plus 13x squared minus 3x minus 11. Now let's name this one. It's based on the monomial with the biggest degree, which is this one right here, which is a third power. That one we call cubic. And then the second name, it's cubic with, this is how you would write this, with 4 terms, because we don't have any special name for 4-term polynomials. So you would just write cubic with 4 terms. That would be the name of that polynomial. And so that's the only difference in subtraction. It's pretty well similar to addition. We have to change it to an addition problem. It's just like when we subtract, we always say we're adding the opposite. That's exactly what we're doing here. I'm going to erase this to give myself some room. Hopefully you got that copied. If not, you can rewind this. Let's look at letter B. So we have 30d to the third power minus 29d squared minus 3d minus and then 2d cubed plus d squared. We're going to put a 1 here. We're going to make this a negative 1. We're going to distribute a negative 1 to both of these in the parenthesis. The first one just stays the same. 30d to the third power minus 29d squared minus 3d. Negative 1 times 2d to the third power, that's negative 2d to the third. And then we have negative times positive d to the second. That makes it a negative d to the second power. So let's go through and combine the ones that are alike. We have a 30d to the third power. And we have a negative 2d to the third power. Those two are alike. 30 and negative 2 become 28d to the third, because 30 and negative 2 give you 28. That takes care of your thirds. Now let's look at our second powers. We have a negative 29d squared, and we have a negative d squared, which is actually a negative 1 that you don't see there. So negative 29 and negative 1 add to give you negative 30 d to the second. And then I just have this left, this negative 3d, we just added onto the end, negative 3d. So on the subtraction, you just distribute a negative 1 to the second parenthesis, and then you combine your like terms. Now let's name this one. The biggest degree is a 3, so it's cubic. And then it has 3 terms, so it's a cubic trinomial. And that's how you add and subtract polynomials. And like I said in your assignment, I want you to name all of the ones that you add and subtract. I want you to name all of the polynomials when you get the answer to the addition or subtraction problem. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.